ready?
Live.
Over here is Spit, Doty, and Neil.
All right, we're going to get started. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to our first December meeting. 20 shopping days till Christmas for anyone who's counting or avoiding that fact, but less days until we get, the shorter days of the year going back the other direction, so that's good. We will start by having a motion to allow Russ to participate remotely because he's still a little bit laid up at home.
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
So that's an aye for me, so we will pass and have Russ participate remotely. We are gonna you're welcome. We're gonna rearrange the agenda a little bit because we have all our friends from the PD here tonight, and we need a motion on a document that requires a signature to have Officer Christopher Spitaleri be promoted to corporal.
Moved. Second.
We'll take a roll call vote because we have a remote member. Andy?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye. You cut him off guard.
Russ had anesthesia today, so he's doing good. John?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we'll sign this, and then we'll turn over to the chief for the ceremony. Yep, go ahead. We're just signing for you.
All right. Well, thanks folks from town that are here. You guys are always, many of you that are here quite a bit, and we've got officers and families here. This is really great. When I came here a little over 18 months ago, I had a vision for the PD, and every one of these people in the room bought into it hard, right? And part of that was to update equipment and personnel, but they all knew that eventually the command structure would start to be formed. Okay, we brought in Lieutenant Doty, who was then Sergeant Doty, and promoted him to lieutenant. And we are at that point in the department where it's time to start the true command structure. Okay, so that we've been a professional agency, but this is the next step in getting us to where we want to go so that we can provide the best services for you. Okay, and part of that was a promotional process that was run in October, and we had, how many candidates did we have? Two candidates in that process, and it consisted of an oral board interview and a written exam. And Officer Spitaleri at the time, came to the top during that process. I've watched, I'll call him Chris. I've watched Chris grow quite a bit in the time that I've been here. When I got here, there was a lot of shyness among all the officers. They didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know what to expect. I feel like I'm reiterating Robert's point. Anyone who's ever seen that. But anyway, I've seen Chris grow over the last year and a half a lot in terms of his maturity as an officer, his intellect, and his abilities as an officer. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce you to our newest corporal for the Brentwood Police Department, and I would invite his fiance, Mickey Bernier, up to do the pinning, but he's going to get sworn in first.
Please repeat after me. I, Christopher Spitaleri, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as a corporal of the Brentwood Police Department, according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God.
You get no wedding if I die.
Come on up.
Your family.
You got that rock in your family now.
She still has time to back out, give her a break.
Nice looking group.
Nice job, guys. And if I can indulge folks in the, can we get a group photo with the people?
Oh, I cross.
Who's taking a group photo?
I got two problems.
You?
Yes. Maddie, you can be in the back because clearly we're good there.
Yes, so.
I'll be in the back. Oops. Sir.
I thought you were taking it.
Tell us when you're ready.
Let the rest suck it in. Come on, girl.
And Chief, you got one more thing for
I
us.
do have one more. Okay. Huh. I do have. Last year, I had this young kid, I can call him because I'm, come to me and said, I want to be a canine officer. All right, and I started a canine program, and I said, well, this is what it takes. Can you do that? He says, yes. So, but the big difference here was this officer had to go out and raise $20,000 for this canine program. And I think I was up here in front of you before and I said he did it in, I think, less than 30 days, just shy of 30 days. It was an amazing thing. He went pounded doors, shook hands, and the like. He was very successful in that endeavor. And then he started this program all on his own. I gave it to him and said, run with it. Go figure out where you're gonna train, what dog you're gonna get, how you're gonna do this, how we're gonna schedule it and everything. And he's done every piece of work all along the way, including, most recently, he graduated the second half of the program last Thursday. I think was the final graduation. And he received, this is the same certificate that he received last Thursday. This is a certificate of completion for basic tracking dog course. He completed the first half. When was the graduation? Over the summer, yeah. Over the summer. So we now have a certified canine unit in the town of Brentwood. We have Officer Matt Kelly with his dog Maggie, who's in the car. But I tell you, I couldn't be more proud. You did an amazing job in it, and you certainly deserve the appreciation of all the officers and the residents. So, thank you. Now you're going to get
Storage document, if the chief doesn't, you should welcome Kevin.
You look nothing like your dad.
And thank you, folks, for letting us do this after meeting. So I appreciate it. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention again the Board of Selectmen that we have in the town officials that allow us to do all that we do, and you folks who vote for everything that we do. So thank you. One more thing.
He's still going.
One more thing, sorry. So, the other thing we have, this is big news. So, we have, over a year ago, we have an officer that's been here through thick and thin. He was here prior to me, and a lot of residents see him as the face of the PD, and they well should. He did a lot of hard work during some hard times in this town and this PD. And then last year, he embarked on a journey to serve his country for over a year at the border, I believe, in Texas. And we are extremely happy to welcome back Officer Kevin Newman.
get camera at least.
Welcome back. All right, you done now, Chief? All right, it's like a party. The Chief's around. All right. All right, any guests that want to depart? Thank you for coming.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Folks, if you're gonna carry on with talking, I just ask you to go outside because they gotta carry on the meeting.
It's always a fun way to start a meeting. All right, we'll get back to our regular agenda. We'll start by reviewing and signing payroll and accounts payable for the period ending 12/2. We tried. Oh, there we go. All right. For the period ending 12/2/23, we had payroll in the amount of $33,980.16. We had accounts payable in the amount of $66,460.35. We did have ACH payments to both Swayze and the co-op. Swayze's was for $241,000 and the co-op was $702,695.
Yes. They are received. What'd you say?
I'm just darn it.
Oh. Yeah, Merry Christmas and good
Thank you. See you later.
Night, Joyce, thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
Next, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move.
Second.
We'll take a roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
Russ, do you want to abstain? I'm gonna take that as a yes. I don't know what happened to Russ.
I think it went dark.
Yes.
Okay. John?
Yes, aye.
Paul?
That one.
And I'm an aye, so we'll pass this week's consent agenda. It includes public minutes from 11/28, non-public sealed minutes from 11/28, the rec manifest, treasurer's report, and building permits.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the non-sealed minutes. The sealed minutes, I mean.
I think they were in the mail folder.
I didn't see them in there.
I didn't either.
Oh, yeah, they may not have been in there.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Did you see them, did you see this already?
I did. I didn't see sealed minutes in there.
Yeah, usually they're in there.
Oh, you didn't.
I think they did.
I don't think that you initialed it.
All right, we're just waiting on the sealed minutes to get added.
I didn't know she'd be interested.
Thank you. All right, once we're done getting those signed, we will invite anyone who's interested in public comment. As usual, we'd ask you to come up closer to the microphone so that you can be heard. We can scooch a chair over there for you if needed. Is there anyone in attendance who's interested in public comment?
Would this be appropriate to talk about the dam?
Sure.
Well, you have a treat. The three of us were at that meeting last Wednesday at the NOAA room. Paul, Eric,
I
and
heard a
me.
little bit about it, yes.
Yes, so that was the purpose of wanting to comment a little bit tonight for everyone to be informed on what happened. It was a full contingent of the committee. They had a quorum, the Exeter of the River Advisory Committee. We had about an hour, 2 hours. 2 hours, and we used up all the time. They presented slides and information about the dam that we had seen at 921. A few new slides of studies or work that have been completed since their vote. They're still not done. There was really no resolution. We were running out of time, so there was a time for people to stand up and comment and ask questions, but then the meeting was over and there was no discussion on the points that they had put up on the first slide of the various aspects of this project. So it felt like it was not moving it forward. There's more information, but no real resolution or change. I know that Robert Spann was there as well, and he and a group of Exeter folks have organized the Friends of Exeter River. And they have a website, and there's a meeting on the 14th, location to be determined. I think it's at 5 o'clock, so we're going to post a notice about that. If anyone wants to be part of that or wants to be receiving information from that group, I will post the information on conservation for anyone who's interested in following this or wants to be part of this. To prepare for conservation next week, just a couple of questions. I know that the letter went out. Eric informed me that town council has said that we have no standing, but is there a little bit more of that I should report back to conservation? I would like us to be fully informed as we move forward next week.
Karen, do you want to speak to that? I think it wasn't town council, it was the Dam Bureau.
It was the Dam Bureau that said that we
The
didn't have
Dam
any.
Bureau. Dam Bureau, okay.
So they said that they would notify any abutters as part of the wetlands permitting process, but that we're not required to be notified anything beyond that.
So nothing with town council, correct? Okay. If anything further develops on any of our questions, could someone send me an email so that I'm fully informed on all of that? That would be nice to have that full information. There was a development. Eric said that he spoke to a select board member from Exeter who said that in 2018, Exeter did inform Brentwood that the status of the dam had changed to high hazard. I just found all the minutes in the file cabinets over there, so I have to go through all the 2018 and then forward to see if there's any other communication on file. I don't know if that's in the data system.
I don't think that would have been I do not believe that we were notified from the town of Exeter. New Hampshire DES
New Hampshire
would
DES.
send us notifications every time they would do an inspection, and that's how they would report the.
So when the
It's like
status
an
changed,
abutter's notification.
just one email to us back, or one
I think
contact
it was
back
in
in
2019.
2019.
Yes.
And I think the other river advisory committee has been very aware of this process ongoing, right? I think that was not the issue. The issue was the more recent events were not.
Yeah, so the Hezrelac, Exeter Swampscott River Local Advisory Committee, we've been following this since the status of the dam change. And as far as I understood, I wasn't sure sort of getting info third hand there, so I thought at first they were saying that they had informed us that this new decision was going to be taken, but I think that was not the case.
They're talking about something from
They
5
were
years
talking
ago.
about something from 2018, so, and yes, I think Bob Stevens back at that point, because I'm on the other advisory committee, had asked me, because everyone confuses the two committees and
Yeah.
thinks they're the same, had asked me what's going on, and I said, as far as I know, it's Exeter knows this is a thing, and they're gonna have to decide what to do about it, but there's, as I've said all along, there's gonna be a process.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't really a surprise to us that obviously all the stuff was going on. We knew the dam study was going on. I had even been asking them specifically about updates on the dam study that month of September. So, yeah, so I don't think that changed, but I do think it's good that we look back and see what the exchange was back then. I don't know whether we were asked to participate in any way at that time, but not the understanding I got, if memory serves, from what Bob had asked me.
I will go back through all the minutes to see if there was any reference, because I don't know if it predates your time here, Karen. It doesn't, okay.
No, Karen's been here a long time.
But I
Just to
think all
find
of the
out.
letters were just putting us on notice. It was no decisions.
Right.
It was like, hey,
Right.
by the way, this is a high letter of deficiency, and then it was up to Exeter then to say, what are your next steps? Come to us with a plan.
Okay, so they said they would do a river study to
Yeah, I
analyze the
think they
river,
had to
and that was,
appropriate that money
yeah.
after.
Which
after
folks
they
in
got-
town have been
Yeah.
aware has been
Yeah.
going on for the past 5 to 6 years.
yeah,
And
So-
VHB reached out to me yesterday looking for well information from
VHB,
VHB.
The engineering group
Yeah.
that's doing the
okay.
study.
Okay,
So they were looking to collect well information from the dam all the way up to Hague Road.
Well, that's important because Spruce Ridge, I talked to a resident there yesterday, quite a long conversation, that there are 18 houses on Spruce Ridge and 14 of them are powered by geothermal, and they're already having problems with their wells, and if the water level drops, what does that mean for those 14 houses on Spruce Ridge, which is Brentwood property? That's,
I'll just add that at the
Yeah.
outset of this last meeting, you know, that meeting was the reschedule of the one earlier where they
Yeah.
didn't have a forum. So
Yeah.
when we came to that previous meeting, someone from their committee had extracted a bunch of points from our video of
Yes.
the Brentwood Board of Selectmen. So there was already a long list on the board at that point. They brought that up at the last meeting and invited people in the audience to add anything that needed to be added. So, you know, it sort of started off in what I was expecting a dialogue, where we had a whole list of items that needed to be discussed that had been raised, and that's what I was thinking that meeting was going to do. And then, as Becky said, we went into, they called up their engineer, which wasn't, again, the second time, was not on an agenda that there was going to be a presentation of findings, and they reiterated the points that had been discussed previously in the meeting. So it was sort of, I guess, intended to inform, people in the audience, but it did take up the bulk of the time. And toward the end, there just wasn't time. I asked one of the members of the staff there, whether there would be time, and they said, probably not going to be. So I don't know whether they're planning to bring that up again. But there is a list of issues that at least technically should be discussed at some point. But I don't know when that one is.
Okay. Yeah, and if you can just keep us informed if there's any sort of actionable items or anything you need from us. I think, we did send that letter already that
Yes.
just asked for maximized information sharing between the two towns. Okay.
is it I'm sorry, one
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Is it possible for a member from Brentwood, a person from Brentwood, to be officially assigned or working with Exeter on just gathering information? Is that possible?
I mean,
If
I
they
think
would
it might
like-
be someone from the Squamscott River Advisory Group, or,
Officially aligned with that?
I mean, that's been you're sort of like the sister group, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no connection between the
Right.
two. One of them's just exit town function,
Right.
and ours is a DES function, so.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I'll stay engaged, I don't know what sort of an official, or unofficial role
Yeah.
would be, but, I've tried to make it clear to them that, and again, before this last turn of events, that I would be a
You're an
person to
interested party.
contact, and then I had a group of people that were asking me for information,
Right.
so. I mean, I can continue to play that role, and hopefully, now that this is played out, there'll be we did sort of go over the lack of notice at the end of the meeting. I sort of brought that up as the last point in the meeting, and, they said, we'll try to be better. So I'm hoping that, hopefully that means that if things go forward, we would know more.
Okay. Okay. Paul, did you want to make a comment?
Well, just, it was, I felt it was a difficult meeting, because you get this sense that the horse has already left the barn, and it's well on its way at this point. And I'm not sure when we'll, and if we would have an opportunity to object, if there are concerns about, what's gonna happen to people in our town upstream. And I think, the only way we could really determine that is if at some point we want to, invest in some sort of investigation on our end, like retaining, some consultant. Because it was clear to me that the engineer who Exeter has retained has, their, agenda, which is to proceed with removing the dam. And I think the only way, if we were interested in moving in a different direction, would be to retain someone who has expertise in that area to find out what the issues are going to be. And I don't know if someone like Dana Truslow, who I know we've retained before with the planning board or someone else, but I'm just kind of planting that seed for food for thought down the road.
What's the
Because-
time frame suggested for the VHB project to finish up? The ongoing studies that have been going on for
It was
years?
supposed to be, originally they had said January.
Okay, so it's nearing the end.
So either early 2024 would be what I had assumed. At first I was told during the spring that the likely report would be in September, which is why I reached out to Paul in September to ask, and that's sort of where that started. But now it sounds like they're talking about early 2024, basically, and the grant cycle is July
Right.
24.
They said, someone mentioned that the report might be ready in April, maybe a little bit later, and that the first notifications to grant applicants will begin probably late March, early April, just in sort of a rolling announcement. There's no definitive date for that.
You want to say something?
Yeah, just a response to Paul, just, I would be cautious of us investing money into something that we don't have standing in. The problem is if we cause too many waves, what's our liability with the town of Exeter if this plan falls through? Are we gonna get sued for the cost of the repair of the dam? I mean, we have to look at the fiduciary responsibility of the town. Unfortunately, there's residents affected by it, but we have a lot more residents that would be affected by a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. So I think we need to be careful how we step. If we're being told we have no stake in this game, then we have to accept that.
Yeah, see, I don't,
The residents that are gonna have issues, unfortunately, are gonna have to be the ones that create outside sources.
I mean, that may be so, that it would fall on the individual residents, but I don't know. I haven't done the research. I'm not sure I necessarily agree that we don't have a stake if, it's ultimately determined that there's a significant impact upon the lands of us, Brentwood. Then we may very well have a stake in that, what they're doing would potentially cause a nuisance to our properties, and that would give us some level of legal standing. But I don't know the answer to that without, having some investigation done to see what the effects would be, and then also, doing some, research to confirm that. Because I agree, I mean, you don't wanna open yourself up, but I don't wanna say it's necessarily a dead issue either.
Conservation is taking just the view that we're there to provide information to interested parties and not take an official stand at this point, but sharing as much information and encouraging people to pursue more information or involvement if they so desire, but we're not advocating that at this point.
Right, and I think that's kind of the stance that we tried to
Yeah.
take in our letter, that, that the dam does not belong to us and what happens is up to
Yeah.
Exeter.
Yeah.
But to your point, Exeter's already paying for some of those studies to take place, so to me, it seems like that the interested residents would need to wait for that process to play out and see what that report shows before deciding how, they want to proceed. But I would have to agree with Andy that if we don't have a legal stake, I can't imagine this board voting to use legal funds to pursue something that we don't have a real stake in. But we can cross that bridge, further on when we come to it. But that was our opinion from the Jam Bureau, that we really don't have any power in this decision. We don't own the dam.
Paul, do you have, like a thought process, even if it's initial, that you would be interested in pursuing, or in terms of just initial conversations, or is that?
Well, again, I mean, it would be along the lines of a nuisance type theory, a nuisance type legal theory. I mean, if what they're doing by removing this dam creates a nuisance onto lands of our residents, that to me potentially, provides some legal standing. I don't know, the impact because we don't have those studies. I don't know to what extent they're in. I think their engineer suggested they were doing and would look at that, but I did take that with a bit of a grain of salt, so.
I guess what I was asking is there something specific that you would wanna do
To
now,
find out
or
if
is
we
it-
have legal standing?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, not necessarily right now, but I think I was just planting the seed for perhaps down the road, depending on what more, we learn.
And I will say, I listened in last night briefly, the public comment in Exeter Selectboard, just to see if any of the residents, one resident from Exeter got up and spoke, just about their concerns. And, there was a commitment that I heard at that meeting that there would be at least a hearing to accept the grant, which is kind of different than when I first listened to the meeting that everyone wasn't at, recorded. They talked about the fact that if Exeter's not actually asking the taxpayers for any money, it was unclear whether there would have to be any process to accept or expend the money because it wasn't coming out of the budget. So I'm not really sure where that stands. And I'm not really sure what the plan is in terms of putting questions to people. Obviously there'd be questions to people in Exeter, but it's the Exeter people that are raising those. So
Sure.
I don't know where that's at right now, but that may be the next point where, somebody publicly talks about, the process other than.
I would think there would have to be a public hearing to accept unanticipated funds. It's just sort of basic municipal regulations.
Right. And the grant application talks about, having some public presentation or something along those lines. But I think, as Paul said, the vote that was taken and, was, that essentially dam removal is the choice.
Yep.
So I think, I don't know whether that hearing is a dialogue or if it's just a
Okay.
presentation.
All right, well, thank you for that update and
Great.
keeping
Yeah,
us
thanks.
posted, and we'll
Okay.
just keep following along with you.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone interested in public comment? Anyone else? Looks like no, so we will close public comment at 6:33, and we will move on to discussion action items for tonight. We have 4 budgets in front of us tonight: police, animal control, government buildings, and street lighting. And looks like we are going to start with police.
Come on up.
You bringing any friends with you? Bring Dodie for moral support? All
We
right.
normally don't have a problem, chief, but Russ is having a hard time hearing, so if you could be your boisterous self.
Hi Russ, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, and sorry, I don't wanna cause any delay here, so I have my headphones on, so we'll
Okay.
see how we can do here.
No worries, no worries. You just say yes when I say yes, and we'll be good. Or
That's the
aye.
only thing that'll be loud. Say yes.
Chief, come on now. All right.
Okay, so I think you all have a copy of the budget worksheet in front of you,
Yes.
correct? All right, so a couple of things I want to point out before we get to questions, because I think this might answer some of the questions. 2 items or 2 lines that might stand out to you right off the bat are salaries, which is the 110 line, and then the wages and the administration line, which is the 120 line, which is 3 down from that. So you might ask yourself, well, Chief, how did the salaries go down 8.37%, and then your administration wages go up 87%? So what I did was a reclassification of wages. Last year in the budget, the lieutenant is on admin or salary. He was mixed in with the salaries last year, or the officer hourly salaries rather. And I thought it better to put it into the same line as my wages, which accounts for the 87% increase overall. Okay, so what the actual increase in our wages, so to speak, is mine was the standard 5% increase that you all approved. And then, I did a wage adjustment for the lieutenant's salary to be more in line with lieutenants in the area, to move him up to there. And that should get us aligned where we need to be among those categories of like or positions in surrounding towns. So that would be the increase on the or the administrative wages, so to speak. And those are obviously different from the admin assistant wages, not to be confused with those. So if we go back to the salaries, I can just summarize what that includes. It includes several of the officers received the 5% COLA and merit increase. We did have a few officers that had achieved the retention rate that we approved last year, which, if you recall, after 3 years, you get a retention, after 4 years and 5 years. And Paul, I don't think you were here last year, but those retentions is after 3 years, which is a normal contract for a non-certified person comes on board, you normally assign them to a 3-year contract. That's how you get back what you put in. It costs about $40,000 to take a brand new officer, put them through the academy so that they're ready for the road. So we make them sign into a contract. But the trend now is for officer swapping all over the place with all these other PDs with sign-on bonuses and the like. So part of my major function here when I got here, and still is and will remain, is retention. I don't need recruitment if I have retention. And even if I lose somebody due to, say, a move or move out of the state, or let's just say there's a better opportunity to improve their position in life or their family or whatever, that's normal attrition. In the past, we've lost people just because the contract was up, they made a broken contract. So my focus is on retention. So after 3 years, you get a $2 an hour raise. After 4, you get another $1, and 5, you get another $1. So that's those retention raises. I also built into there some hourly increases for education. Okay, if you have a bachelor's, it's $1.50 an hour. You should be rewarded for that. So this year we had one officer who achieved the bachelor's, so he will get the $1.50, or that's actually put into this budget. What this also includes is the promotion that you just witnessed. So that's more or less the only other wage adjustment we have in terms of the employees. And then what I had to do is, you also heard me say that we're gonna do another process for corporal in the spring. I had to account for that, but I don't know who that's gonna be, so it's kinda hard. So what I took was there's 4 officers that are eligible for that promotion process. I took the officer who is currently making the least among them. So if he gets it, it will be the largest increase. So that number could shrink a little bit, but that will bring him up even with Corporal Spinelli. So that's how I came up with that figure for those.
So there are more people seeking the bachelor's?
Currently, I don't believe we have anybody else in the PD. Well, he's seeking on, but he's at East salary, so he doesn't count. He's not going anywhere. He better not. But no, so we don't have anybody currently enrolled in any other programs that I'm aware of. But we have this group here.
No, I think that should be encouraged.
Oh, absolutely, no, and that's why I put it in there.
Yeah, we approved that a year or 2 ago.
Yeah.
It was-
So the group that you saw in front of you tonight, most of them are all between 3, 4, 5, 2 to 4 years, okay? So for the next couple of years, we're going to be paying those retention hourly rates, okay? But that's gonna stop eventually. And if I don't lose anybody, we're not doing any more at the 5-year mark. I have an idea in my head to do another one at the 7 and 8 year mark, but let's get to that first. Let's get through 5 years first. That's down the line.
Talking about me.
Yeah. So,
Chief, can you, you talked about that part of moving the lieutenant down to the admin involved both a wage adjustment and a regular COLA merit. Can you give the details of that in terms of?
it was simply a wage adjustment, no COLA.
Oh, it was just a wage adjustment?
Just a wage adjustment, yeah.
And what kind of percentage or
Oh,
what
yeah,
kind of
let
numbers
me
was
just-
that?
Sure,
So
let me just get
I'm
back
just
to
getting,
that.
want to get a sense of
No,
how
no,
big of a
that's fine.
change that was.
Yep, it's higher than the 5%, I can tell you that. Let me
Okay.
just pull it up.
So it overrode the regular COLA?
It did, yeah,
Okay.
just because it was a full wage adjustment.
Okay.
It was, Well, actually, I'm sorry, we did break it out. So the cost of living was the 3%, the merit adjustment was 2%, and the wage adjustment was another 7.5. So a total of 12.5. for
And
that.
did you base that on salaries from local similar communities?
Yes.
For
yeah.
lieutenant pay?
I can give you an example. We use Kingston a lot because we're so similar.
Yeah.
Their lieutenants are making, I think, 90 and 92.5, and he has more experience in both of them in terms
And
of.
ours was lower.
And ours was lower, yeah. He has more experience, years as supervisor. They were just promoted this year. So it's not, it's apples to apples in terms of how long everybody's been a lieutenant, but he has more experience overall than most.
And is that the only wage adjustment that you're suggesting in this budget? Or are there additional ones?
Well, the corporal, but that's
Sure.
self-explanatory.
Sure, that's a
for them,
promotion.
Because that comes up to a different category of pay, starting pay.
Yep.
So he started at what I consider the corporal was put at the lowest corporal salary.
Gotcha.
Essentially.
Gotcha. Andy, did you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, I was doing the math while the chief was talking, and the lieutenant's salary isn't out of the ballpark for
Yeah, sounds like.
what they should be making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted a little bit of more of a window into that. Thank you. You're welcome. You should
You're
get
valid.
paid. You should get paid what is.
It's
Yeah.
not
the going
you, it's the
rate.
position.
Absolutely. Yes.
The lieutenant should
That's
get
exactly
paid what
right.
lieutenants get paid.
So we had we had 3 $1 retentions and 1 $2 retention.
Okay.
Is what that included.
What's the total number of officers
We have-
110, line 110 for the salary?
We have, included in this budget, there are 9 full-time officers. You saw here, you might have seen here, I didn't introduce him because he hasn't been sworn in yet. But that 10th officer that you all approved, that is not reflected in this budget because that is already funds from this year that will be reflected next year. You'll see an adjustment next year.
And those 9 officers' salaries in line 110, are they part-time or
The
all
9
full-time?
full-time are all full-time.
Full-time.
And there are also part-time officers in there, but that doesn't, but they're within that salary.
But the 9 in that line 110 are all full-time.
And
Plus there's part-time.
Plus
as
my
well.
part-timers that I have.
So the 110 line is all the patrol officers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, anybody that's driving around a car is in that line,
Yep.
right?
And then the one that we don't see in this budget, but will pop up in next year's budget, is the one that we're using encumbered funds.
The number 10,
for.
yes.
Correct,
yes.
okay. Yep. Okay,
Does anybody have any questions about salaries or wages or? Yes, sir.
For next, the merit plus COLA, 3+2, did everyone get all of that, or?
No, I had a
Okay.
couple of, yeah. No, we were quite honest with our merits, yeah. And I think you got sent the,
we actually just signed a bunch of those today.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't look at the specific.
Yeah, if you look at the
number.
scores
There was
on
kind
the,
of
on
a
the
little bit
end.
of a spread.
Yeah, good,
Okay,
yeah. Let's see, let me go back to my main.
you want to talk about your line items that go down?
Yes,
You
I'd
have a
love to
few.
talk about those.
I'd love to give you the spotlight to talk about those.
All right, so if you go down to line 140, which is overtime, I cut that, we were budgeted at 900 hours last year. We've done well with overtime this year. Again, that's because of the addition of the full-timers. And also, I have active part-timers who supplement for when we have people that go out on vacation or training or so forth. So I cut another 100 hours out of the overtime budget, so that reflects the 6.79 drop, or the equivalent of about $2,800 out of that line. If you look at firearms qualification, which is line 244, I did a bit of history on that. We traditionally don't spend all of that at all. So I took $3,000 out of the $8,000 for a 37.5% decrease. Mileage, it's only a $600 line, but I did cut it by 33%. I laugh at it, but I do try to cut
adds up. I mean,
$100 here.
we
and I do
appreciate you
try to
making
cut
cuts where you
$100
can.
there. Because I could have just as easily left those lines and nobody would have said a thing probably. Again, my goal, when I got here, the budget was a bit inflated, right? Now I've had the opportunity to do my first full year with my own budget that I built last year. So I'm still learning a little bit about our expenditures, but I'm whittling it down to almost an ideally reflective budget of what we need.
Can you talk a little bit, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
242 line, you level funded, not that I wanna give you money, but am I right that it's, next year, every officer needs 4 additional hours of training?
Yeah, but I think we're gonna be good.
Be all right?
I think we're gonna be good. And even if we're not, you know, we're a bottom line budget, and I'm comfortable that I can fit that in there. Now, if I find that over this year and next year, we overspend that by quite a bit, I will up it. I didn't think I needed to this year, but that's a good point, very good point. Because we do have to have, like our guys, I'm very pro training, and our guys did a lot of training this year, a lot. It was basically what interests you. You know, we had some great investigative classes. The lieutenant completed the trilogy it's called the Trilogy Leadership. It's an FBI training series for 120 hours, 3-4 weeks.
But you did it within your budget.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That should be a presentation in itself.
I know.
Can you talk about the last line, 740 on equipment?
Yep, that's what, I saved that one. Are you wondering why I haven't spent a lot of it? Yes, I saved it. I have equipment that's earmarked. Like, we actually just talked about that today. We have equipment that needs to go into lieutenant's car for updated lighting system. But I'm one of those people that kind of likes to save the piggy bank in just case something happens. You know, let's just say something happened where I need to replace an engine, okay? Again, bottom line budget, not line item. I just wouldn't buy the lights for his cruiser, but those are needed. But they're not like stamped like I have to have them right now. But now that I know I have the money, I just got the up-to-date numbers from Karen, and we're gonna be able to do that, so.
And then the other question I had was on prosecutor.
Yeah, I think I spoke about that at the meeting. I'm not
I
sure.
think you did.
But just so you know what's happening in prosecution. Well, there's a couple of different things that lead to that. Number one, we just crested 200 arrests for the first time, I think, ever. Okay, that's hard work, right? Or at least in the last 10 years that I know of, at least that's far back enough. So because we have more full-time officers and we have more coverage, we have much more activity, much more proactive activity, which is obviously a benefit to the town. Which creates more cases for a prosecutor. And one of the things that prosecutors base their contract price in is the number of arrests. Excuse me. The other thing, in 2017, the state took felonies and they put them in the Superior Court first. We call it felonies first. We used to hear them in the district court first as prosecutors, which is our prosecutor would hear them. 2017, they took that back out. 2024, they're putting it back in, so that increases her caseload even more for 2024 and beyond, because she will now have probably another, we probably average, I don't know, 30 felonies, so that's, and those are, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into the beginning of the prosecution of those. They do wind up in the Superior Court if they can't be settled in district court, but it adds a lot more work.
30 a month?
No, for the year,
Oh, for
but
the
still,
year,
that's,
okay.
you know,
That'd be a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
yeah.
felonies.
I was like, whoa.
just to give you an example, I think the contract price down in Kingston might be around, I wanna say 35,000. We're well below that, and I think we arrested more people this year than Kingston. She has said that she wants to, I think she wants to increase it, I think, to 30, but she said she would do it over several years for us. She understands budget, so she said, why don't we do it piecemeal and we'll just do it over the course of the next few years. And
So this
that's
is
great.
like a 30% bump.
Probably right around that, yeah.
Do you think we can expect, I don't even know what question to ask. I'm trying to figure out, like, I understand we have more coverage and more officers. We don't necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have more crime in Brentwood, because we're having more arrests, but, like, is there a trend going here? Can we expect it to continue? Is this because of 125 and narcotics? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably 75% of our arrests are proactive in motor vehicle
Sorry, 75% of what?
of our arrests are proactive and motor vehicle related, so most of them are out of cars. You know, then we've got the other 25%, which might be the, you know, domestics, which there's, it's very hard to lower that number with any proactive efforts outside of, you know, outreach programs, if you will. But you know, what the addition of officers does is it, you know, we're thankfully, we're not a big burglary town because we have officers driving around the back roads all the time. They don't just sit out on 125. I tell them I want to see you on the back roads during the days because that thwarts burglars. It really does. The nice thing is that people only know 125, so they don't even know we have back roads sometimes, and they do pass through 120 through Brentwood. So, you know, will the arrests go down? I don't know. You know, it's hard to say that we're actually putting a big dent in DWIs. It's one of those crimes that people just don't understand. They just don't get it. They're gonna drive drunk, they're gonna drive drunk. And many people do it over the course of 20 years and get caught once. Right, it's the law of averages sometimes. Unless you're not too bright and you get 3 of them in 10 years or whatever. But, you know, so I think the addition of officers creates a lot more services for the town, I think, and a lot more visibility and a lot more protection. And we're able to cover more of the town. So will I decrease the speeds and things like that on 120? It's very difficult to see that. But I think we have seen a lowering of speeds on the back roads, like the South Road and the Middle Road. And is that constant throughout the, no, it's not. But that's what our purpose is to change driving behavior on those roads. And the more officers we have, the better opportunity we have to do that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Just trying to get a general understanding of
Sure.
trends.
It allows, what it does is it allows, when I talk about double coverage, it's not just about officer safety, although that's my primary goal. But, you know, it can be something as small as, you know, somebody needs a VIN verification on South Road. If I have one guy on and they've got other calls that are priority calls, that person on South Road has no idea where we're coming. We just can't tell them. But if I have 2 on, we're more responsive to those little things, because when people call us, sometimes that's the only reason they call us is for those little things. And that's the impression they get about their town services. We had to wait 2 days for a cop to come look at a license or a VIN, you know, versus, oh, we got 2 guys on, we can get over there in an hour. Oh, geez, this is great. And I know that's inconsequential to most people, but it's just an example of the services that we can provide that are spread out more. You know?
Thanks.
Okay.
Any other board questions or comments about this budget? Russ, any questions?
No, thank you, good.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve the budget for 2024 of $1,248,804.
Second.
I will do a roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Paul?
And Mike, with the comment, it seemed very reasonable to
Thank
me.
you, appreciate that.
I'm an aye as well, so that's a 5.8% budget increase for a total budget of 1,248,804. Thank you very much. You've got a pass.
Thank you.
What? Just whispering in my ear. All right. Anything else you have for us?
ACO,
The ACO.
the biggest budget of all.
ACO.
The $9 budget. Moved.
Right.
Second.
Just so you know.
Stop while you're ahead, it's gonna be 8.
I'm good.
All right. Okay.
Shut up.
We got a motion and a second on the table for animal control, $9. Andy?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Paul?
All right.
And I'm an aye, so that's a pass as well. All right.
I think that's all I have, right?
I think that's all we've got for you. Thank
guys
you.
very much for your support.
Thank
We appreciate it.
you.
And thanks for letting us take up your meeting like that.
No, we like celebrations. That's a
We
good
love
thing.
it.
All right, next we have government buildings. This is one we had tabled last week because we had to make a few corrections, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're putting back, there was about $18,000 that was cut from this budget after town meeting of this year, so I have put those funds back in. I've requested an increase on the rec line, the 694 line, going from 2450 up to 5,000. And he thinks that will be sufficient for his regular routine maintenance needs. And then based off of actual spending on the highway building budget, the 693 line, I've requested that to be increased from 1,000 to 5,000.
What do you, sorry, can you clarify that?
On the highway
The
buildings?
highway buildings?
So Wayne has had some routine repairs that he's absorbed in his highway budget, and he spent just shy of 5,000. So if we put that
This
here.
isn't the new building?
No.
This must be the old,
Yeah,
okay.
it's like septic repairs that he's done for the old
It's
building.
chronic maintenance, right?
Okay.
Yes. So between the increases I'm requesting here and what's already been approved in the general government budget, those two will be level funded with last year's, because we cut 10,000 out of TAN, and then these increases will offset that.
Okay.
So these were things that were not otherwise in their specific budgets? Like for highway, when we heard Wayne, and recreation, when we heard Andy?
No, Andy's was always here, we're just increasing his line item amount.
We talked about this last week and I said, I made the comment, like, hold on a second, like, we have all of these buildings, getting actual, like, maintenance
Right,
budgets
right.
for things that come up. Like, rec has these things that come up
Right.
all the time, and it, serves thousands of people every weekend. How come we're cutting rec out of
Right.
this thing
Right.
for
And
maintenance?
the regular building maintenance is not in the individual budgets, because if it's a big project, it goes to the capital reserve. So this is like the little small, fix this, fix that, this broke, this needs to be painted, just like little stuff that I think has always lived in the government buildings budget, not separated out. You could separate it out in the individual budgets, but this is how the town has done it, is my understanding.
I remember the conversation. So this is the result of the conversation?
Yeah,
Well, just that one line changed, I think everything else remains.
the increase from
except for-
2,400 to
you-
5,000.
You said you changed the
Highway.
highway too, so highway and rec changed.
And a few of these lines had been inadvertently left off last week, so we fixed that
Yes.
correction as well.
I see.
Letty had a question, I don't know if you wanna entertain it.
Sure.
The library has maintenance in their budget.
Correct, yes, that's why it's not on here. You're right.
Cause they're a separate entity.
Separate entity with their own board. Correct.
Wanted to clarify.
Thank you, that is correct. Yep,
This is coming back to us from last week then?
yes.
Yes.
Yep, circling
Now
back.
it's coming back to my brain.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So we have on the table here the government buildings budget for 91,410. Is anybody interested in making a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Andy?
Aye.
Russ? He's gotta unmute himself. Thanks. To John?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's a pass, 5-0. And then we have our $1 street lighting budget on here.
Moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Andy?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Paul?
One, aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's a pass. All right, so that concludes our 4 budgets that we had on the agenda for tonight. For regular business, I'll turn it to Karen first.
Do you want to have a meeting on December 26th, or would you like to just sign a manifest?
Manifest.
Second.
Sounds good to me. We've got a motion to just do a manifest on that day, so roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we will not be coming the day after Christmas to have a full meeting. We will just sign the manifest.
Thank you.
Okay. What else you got for us?
Kip has some concerns over the decking at the library. He had submitted an estimate on 2 areas of concern at the library. He requested quotes from 4 contractors,
Hold on, decking at the library.
the front steps.
Oh,
Yes.
we've talked about
Okay,
this months
thank
ago,
Yes.
that's kind of squishy,
Yes.
right? Yes, okay.
Blue Collar Workhorse is the only company that has responded back with a quote. Kip has vetted their work. He believes this to be an immediate safety need to repair the front main entry steps and the decking boards in the back. He says the steps are sagging and the surface boards are lifting. And then he said that the back steps would need to be repaired in conjunction with the amphitheater update. So the quote that he has received is $7,773, and he would like to request that out of the capital reserve fund for building maintenance.
And say what you said again about how this interfaces with the amphitheater and whether any of this is this completely separate from the
This
amphitheater?
would be completely separate,
Completely
but this should
separate.
be done at the same time.
At the,
so
oh,
that-
so timing wise, it
Yeah.
needs to line up, gotcha. But wasn't part of their plan, right? 'Cause it's
Correct.
not part of the amphitheater.
Correct,
Gotcha.
And this is both front and back.
yes.
Do you wanna pass that
It's just a
around?
repair, it's not a complete replacement.
7773.
7.7 is just a repair.
To do the sagging boards in the front and to
Are they like
replace the back.
replacing all the
I
boards?
think they'll just replace the boards, but like the framework and the footings and all of that will stay.
Okay. Did Kip think this was a reasonable?
He does, yes.
Looks like he thought it was reasonable.
Motion?
For 7773?
Yep.
How much do we currently have in the building capital reserve fund?
About 100.
100K? Okay, so we have plenty of room.
Second.
Roll call vote, Andy?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Paul? Is that aye?
Just give me one.
I was thinking, okay.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, I'm an aye, so we will approve that 7773 to fix the safety hazard at the library. And I'm glad, thank you to Kip for handling that, because I know that came up in front of us quite a long time ago as being a potential safety issue. Okay, do you have anything else for us?
No, I do not.
Okay. We'll go over to board updates and any board business. We'll start with Andy.
I have nothing. Conservation next Wednesday.
Okay. Russ, any updates or board business for us?
Well, not at this time, thanks.
John?
We're trying to get an economic development committee meeting scheduled. We're having just scheduling issues with committee members and keep you posted on when I can get that, when we can get that scheduled.
Paul?
I mean, nothing beyond what we already spoke about earlier. Housing presentation on Thursday,
In 2 days, right?
2 days.
Yep.
Here?
Here.
Here.
Great.
7 o'clock.
Great, excellent. We had a school board meeting last night, and I'm thrilled to report that they unanimously voted to allow us to have the January 23rd election at Swayze School. They're doing a switcheroo with a different teacher development day in March to free up that day for us, so Daphne is thrilled and is going to put that out on our town Facebook and town information tomorrow morning to help the public become aware, because it is sort of it's only 6 weeks from now, that there's going to be sort of an unanticipated change in that schedule for the school.
Can we
But,
send a request to the school maybe to have it up on the marquee at some point?
Yeah, I think come January, I'm sure it will end up there, but we can send that request, yes, no problem. So thank you very much to the school for voting to approve that.
Official messenger.
Yeah, right.
I'm not the messenger.
You're not, I can
also
send it.
don't have the keys to the market.
I will send a message, no problem. And just a reminder that taxes are due 15th,
Yes.
December 15th, so if you haven't paid your taxes, please do. And I think that was the only other, I guess the other thing, the school board has kind of finalized their budget, and it will be going forward to the budget committee. And we will hear more about that as it gets processed, but I think that was all I had. Any other board business? And we have no non-public tonight, correct?
Yep.
Wonderful. I would take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote, Andy?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye, so we will adjourn at 7:04.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
So when we present this budget at town meeting, we'll kind of explain that this is the % increase, given that the town had already approved an additional officer.